let's get to know Martin Connelly. We're going to start with some rapid fire questions. First one is favourite meal and who cooks it?
I do all the cooking here, and so roast chicken.
When you were at school, which teen group were you? Were you the jocks, mean girls, alternatives, loners, nerds?
Probably a nerd.
Have you ever been arrested?
Almost.
Ooh, what happened there?
I used to protest against the Vietnam War and against the Springbok tours.
What would you consider to be a good crime to be arrested for?
Anything that supported the environment in a positive way.
What country will you never visit again and why?
Well, I almost certainly will never visit Russia again because they've turned into a terrorist state and I wouldn't want to give them my tourist dollars.
If you were running for government, which party would you be with?
Look, I don't think either or any of the parties would have me actually. So, I mean, I'm a little bit green. I'm sort of financially conservative, but I'm socially liberal. So.
Okay, now on to serious questions.
Okay.
Why are you running for South Wairarapa Mayor?
I am one of those people who are dissatisfied with the way the council has carried out its tasks and duties for the past 3 years. There are a number of things that are particularly distressing to many people. One was the rates rise last year, promised to be 15%, turned into 30%. Apparently they claimed they didn't even know that it was 30%. So what we're dealing with at the moment is a council that has displayed considerable incompetence in what should be core areas of expertise. It's a council that is very wasteful of money, and critically for many people it's a council at the moment that does not listen to the residents. So I believe I have the background and the expertise to make considerable improvements in all of those areas.
What is your background and expertise?
Well, my expertise is that for a long time I was a bureaucrat. I reached some very senior levels in the public sector. I managed some very substantial offices. I've represented New Zealand at the OECD. I've represented New Zealand overseas, and my area of specialty when I worked for the government was policy and finance. And in many respects, whether it's big government or little government, getting those areas around, you know, what are your basic policies, what are your financial systems, getting all of those things correct make the foundation for getting everything else right.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing in South Wairarapa, what would it be?
The one thing that I would change instantly with my magic wand would be I would solve all of the stormwater and sewage problems in Featherston.
What is your stance on Three Waters and how could council do a better job?
Well, Three Waters is one of those things that's being driven through by central government, and therefore there's nothing actually that an individual council can do much about it if the government is determined to go ahead. However, a little bit of background for people who've been in the South Wairarapa for a wee while, they know that our council gave up on managing water assets 3 or 4 years ago. So if we don't have the capability to do it, then actually we do need somebody else to look after our water systems for it. And why didn't we have the capability? Well, actually many small councils don't have enough skilled engineers that they can call on, and they don't have enough money anyway to do it properly. So there's quite a lot of what Three Waters is promising that looks very promising for a district like ours. However, it's not all perfect, and some of the aspects seem particularly weird, most particularly the fact that the country's being divided up into 4 operational areas. You have to look at the thing in its larger sort of context, and you can't always get everything you want, but in terms of getting some real expertise to look after our water, getting a little bit more support with the financial costs that districts like this have. There's much to be looked forward to. We have to think that any centralised solution that brings expertise is probably going to be better for the people who live here.
Who are the at-risk groups in South Wairarapa and how will you help them?
Well, I think there are several groups that are requiring some form of council action. I'll start with older people. The average age of people in the South Wairarapa is significantly older than the average in New Zealand. And if you are living here and you are broadly dependent on superannuation, then the last year has been very, very tough for you. So you will have had the rates rise of 30%, you've had petrol cost increases, and let's be honest, when you live in the Wairarapa, you do need transport. There've been insurance costs, and there's just been the same cost of living increases for you as there have been for everybody else. So what the council has to make sure is that it is doing its job in the most economical way and not imposing additional costs on those people. There's a second group that requires special attention, and that's mana whenua. Last year the council did a survey of how satisfied people were with the council and its services. Now, on average, 40 to 50% of people said, yep, we're happy enough, but actually only 24% of Maori said they're happy. Now, that's a big, big difference, and I think we have to get to the bottom of what is it that has caused that sort of low approval rating amongst that significant group of people. They're about 15% of the population, so it's a large number of people. They're not happy. We need to find out.
What is the issue that's most important to you personally, not the region, and why?
Oh, well, to me personally, the environment would be the most important issue. And I'm talking two things here. One is the issues that are brought about by climate change and what we can do to address those. And one very simple thing we can do is to alter our town planning rules so that people are much more encouraged to build their houses facing the sun. If you just have a house that faces the sun and is well insulated at the rear, you will save a large amount of energy because the house will just naturally heat, you will use less energy, you will save money, everybody will be better off at virtually no cost to anybody. The other aspect of the environment which is important is thinking about the quality of the lakes and the natural environment. I don't know how many people are aware of it, but in the South Wairarapa we have the third largest lake in New Zealand. And it is in a shocking state. It is absolutely not fit for many of the things that we would think a lake should be. And as many people know, the council itself pumps sewage into a waterway that leads into that lake. So there are things we can do, even in quite a short time, to improve matters. We should appreciate that in the Wairarapa we are, not only do we have the uniqueness in each of the three towns in the South Wairarapa, but we also have Carlton, we also have Masterton. And one of the things that's being proposed in each of those places at the moment is that they all build a dog pound. And if they all build a dog pound, that will cost probably over $2 million across the three districts. And on average, Carterton and the South Wairarapa have less than one dog a day staying in them. Why are we spending $2 million across a small population, because collectively we are a small population, to look after a few dogs every night? That is just crazy. And so one of the things that I would hope to do is to talk with new mayors and councils in each of the other 2 districts as well and say, surely we've got the collective wit to save our ratepayers a lot of money. I mean, $2 million, how many homeless people could you look after for that forever? So there's just a little bit of, I think, collective common sense that's needed as well. And it's not only in the South Wairarapa.